Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to The Mob. It is Live with The Mob with Daniel, Craig, and Joey.
All right, we are back live this week. We are back with Dustin Hokanson. I'm Daniel Check, your host, and we have
Joey True Love. Hey, and I'm Joey True Love.
All right, Dustin. Thanks for joining us this week. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, Dustin, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what got you into Tri-Fives? Was it just kind of family thing? I
was kind of born into it, really.
Born into it, okay.
My dad had Tri-Fives. He had my black 56 that I got. This was his 656 that he had. But we had a yard full of them all the time. He always had all kinds of cars that he drug in, but there was he had 557 sitting out back and just a bunch of other cars that I used to play in when I was a kid. So I've kind of never known anything else but Tri-Fives and old Chevys. So
Dustin, did you sit in your dad's cars practice shifting when they're not even running?
Oh yeah. I drove a lot. I drove a lot of miles.
I did that too.
Sitting still. For sure.
Dude, how wonderful of a memory of that is. You know, just being around that many cars. You know, my dad didn't have that many cars at once, but wow.
Well, and most of these, I mean, they were all four doors. They were all at the time, you know, just junk cars, but it was, you know, I liked it. Every time he dragged a car home, I loved it because I'd go through and figure out what treasures somebody had left in there. So that was always
digging the old ashtray.
Oh yeah.
What's the neatest treasure that you found sitting in one of the cars that was drug home?
One time I was walking around with this. My dad had drug home a Jeep pickup that had a Corvette motor in it, and I was digging around in the back seat, and I found this gun.
Was it like a Corvette 327 or something?
No, it was a 283.
Oh, sweet.
283 vet motor. So, and it turned out to be a real thing. He didn't think it was when he bought it. But anyway, I was digging around in it and I found this toy gun behind the seat and I was running around playing with it. And he says, "Where'd you get that?" And I told him, and he says, "Let me see that." Well, it wasn't a toy gun. It was a little 25 that was loaded.
Oh, really?
Wow. And I was running around playing with it because I thought it was a toy gun. So that's probably the coolest thing I ever found.
How old were you at that point?
25, or do you still have the 25?
No. He, I think he traded it to somebody for something. I don't know where it ever happened to it.
Dustin,
sweet.
What do you? Obviously, we all got to spend money on our Tri-Fives, our cars. What do you do to make the money?
What do I do?
Yep.
I drive truck. I do food delivery is what I do. I work for Cisco Foods, so. That's my day job. I buy, sell, you know, trade on the side, you know, to try and support my hobby. So like I just brought home a 56 two-door just a couple weeks ago that my boy and I are going to do just a little flip project on, just try and make a little bit of extra money to put towards something else. So.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, how long?
Go ahead.
Okay. How long, What was your first muscle car, hot rod, either Tri-Five or not? What was the first fun car you had?
Every car I've really owned from the start, I've tried to make a hot rod, whether it was or not. You know,
right.
My first car was a 77 Pontiac Grand Prix that had a 400 in it that, you know, it burned tire for half a mile, one tire. and then after that, I had a short bed Chevy pickup that I built with a 400 small block Chevy in it and a cam and headers and all that stuff. So I've always been into hot rodding something.
Okay.
You've spent some money on fuel then through the light.
Oh yeah.
Lifetime.
Yeah. For sure.
That's all right. Now where you're at because you're in how do you say it? Osage?
Yeah, Osage City. Yeah.
Osage.
Okay,
yep.
Osage City. What's the winter temperatures there like? Is it and do they use salt on the roads there, or can you drive in the winter if it's decent?
No, it's in Kansas we get everything. So we get the hottest of hot and the coldest of cold. So yeah, we get all the salt, we get all that stuff. So I don't necessarily put my car away for the winter like a lot of guys do, but you know, I'll take it out and drive it once in a while. But like my 56, you know, it's been since well, the car's been painted since 88, so it's been a finished car since about 91. So it's always been driven whenever I feel like driving it. I mean, obviously I'm not going to drive it in bad weather, but but I've never really focused too much on you know, putting it away for the year or anything like that. So
I always ask that because obviously in Minnesota that's something we have to do. It's just
you
know, we're
well,
done
you guys
now.
get a lot longer.
Well, I got 21 inches of snow on Friday night, so I'm good.
Oof,
you know,
oof.
So we're good. We're good now. But what when you're getting into this, as far as a background, like through high school or anything like that, was it shop classes or math classes? What was your background getting, or is it just backyard stuff with your dad learning as you go?
You know, I learned most everything from my dad, but I did take Votech when I was in high school. I took it my junior and senior year and never did finish it. It was just something I did honestly to help fill the time in high school. But and I wrenched for just a little bit, you know, when I got out of school, and I just decided that I didn't want to turn wrenches for a living. I like doing it, but you know, as a hobby, I didn't want to do it for a living. So
awesome.
Right.
So when you were going in high school, did you have like some of the coolest cars? You know, were people like going, "Hey, man, what's he bringing today or this week?"
No, I had probably the ugliest pickup in high school. That was like 7 different colors, but it was the fastest thing in high school. So that's what mattered to me.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
No, well, and I got my dad's 56. I drove it a little bit on special occasions. I drove it to high school a little bit. So
now the dad's 56. Is that the white one you sent me a picture of?
Yeah, the white. It's now black. It's been black since '88. But yeah, it's the one I still have.
Cash on the back?
No,
Cash
that's the
is
55 that I built. Yeah.
Okay.
The 56 150 my parents started building when I was a little kid. It actually started out, it was supposed to be my mom's car because we didn't have a car when I was a kid. And by the time it was finished, we had a 62 Impala and a 63 Impala, and I don't honestly think she ever drove that car. So it kind of turned into more a dad's hot rod after that. So
now
I like the stance on that 56.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, I like that. And the trim too. The 150 trim on that car looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's
I like that.
You know, when he was building that car.
You sent me a picture of the 56, and if I remember right, it's white on the top. It's got a bunch of red oxide primer over it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that did it turn black in that process, or did it not turn black?
Yeah, so it was a white. It was actually a delivery car. It is a utility sedan. It didn't come with a back seat, and the back windows don't roll down. My dad bought it when I was like, I think 5 years old.
Okay.
And the guy that painted it for him, he actually done all the body work outside. And it took him. God, it took him like 3 years to paint the car. But he painted it in a 2-car garage with a dirt floor. It's just a single stage black enamel from Napa. So, but it's still
in pictures it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's it's a good 20-footer. You know, you get up close and it's showing its flaws, but we've always lived in the country, so it's got a lot of rock chips in it from driving it on dirt roads, but it's just kind of part of it, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're driving it. That's what they're meant for, right?
Right.
Oh, most definitely.
That's I'm just looking at the pictures as Dan's put them up, and it keep going through my head because I've been friends with you on Facebook for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is as I go through Facebook, and I've said this, Joey and I have talked a lot about this. you scroll through Facebook and I don't see anybody's posts because of the algorithms or however Facebook does it. So then when I go to your page, I'm like, well, God, there's 40 posts I haven't seen because they don't allow you to see stuff. And so I was just going through some of that, not to get off topic, but I go, that's kind of annoying. And I looked up today, you've been a member on the mob since March of 2018. And your first post wasn't even a picture, it was a live video, was your first post.
Was it? Oh, I don't remember that.
Do you remember that? I actually went back and watched it today, so it was kind of interesting to be able to do that. But then I saw you at the 2019 Nationals. We didn't talk, but I sat in the stands and got you racing when you had cash out.
Right.
Are we going to come back next year and do a little better?
I hope so. It depends. I've been chasing kids around playing sports, so it's kind of where I thought I was going to go into doing some racing has kind of been put on the back burner again, but that's the way it goes, I guess. It'll still be there. So.
Yep. It definitely will do that.
The car will always be there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So like the meaning of cash, it kind of has different meanings. You know, it could be Johnny Cash for that. It could be, I'm thinking like you you basically you're buying and selling, you're flipping cars, and that could be cash too, is just kind of a different meaning to it. I've always thought that was just way cool.
That car actually started out a flip car. My son and I bought it together. I kind of got him into cars when he was younger, buying and selling with me. And we had bought and sold a couple of 55s, and I bought this car and I paid way too much money for it. And I bought it sight unseen, and it was much rougher than I thought it was. The floors were gone in it, and it had a lot of Bondo in it, and really was a piece of crap. And brought it home, and I told my son, I said, well, we got two options. Either we sell it right now and just lose some money on it, or we build it, and then we sell it and make something that way. So I kind of let him take the lead on building it the way he wanted to. So pretty much the whole car was his ideas and what he wanted to do, because we were going to sell the car. So I was like, it doesn't matter. He was adamant about cutting the wheel wells, and he designed and made the hood scoop for it, and anything he really wanted to do, we just kind of done it. So, but when we got it done, he was like, Dad, we need to keep this car and race it. And I said, yeah, I think maybe we'll do that. So I ended up selling another car in place of it. So.
Where's it at now mechanically? What do you got to do to get it to that next race? Where do we start?
It's a part right now. So my dad was building one last 327, and he passed away and didn't end up getting it built, but he had everything laying there for it to build it. So my son and I, about a year after he passed away, decided one day we were going to put it together. And I had a 350 with a small supercharger in it then. So we just we built that 327 and put the supercharger on it, which it really wasn't intended for. It had a little too much compression to begin with, but we just went ahead and went for it and stuck it in there. And basically what I needed to do was spend some money on transmission, because I burned up 3 transmissions in a row and didn't even get to make a full pass out of it. So I kind of got a little discouraged with it sitting there. And one day we decided that we pulled the motor out of it, and I stuck that motor back in my 56. And so it's currently without a motor right now. So it's sitting in the race car trailer with no motor in it. So
so then what's the plans for an engine for it? I
don't know for sure. We were actually just going to stick a stock 350 in it, kind of like it was to begin with a cam, and put supercharger on it and just drive it, on the street and have some fun with it. But there's a part of me that really, I still want to race the car. So I think I'm just going to kind of put it on the back burner right now and wait and see what happens.
So if money was no object, what would you like to put in it? And what
would I like to put in it?
Yeah, like
if it was, honestly, what I would really like is a built 327 or something along that lines, and a 4-speed. I'd really like, to run like a Jericho or something like that, and 5 513
there's
gears.
Plenty of the Jerichos out there.
Go have fun. So
would you do like a tunnel ram setup or like an injected style? I mean, like I said, I've always kind of
wanted a cross ram set up myself, and I've never ran one, but I'm into the nostalgia stuff. I'll be honest, the whole LS world really doesn't do a lot for me. I think they're cool. It's just, I don't know. I grew up with old school stuff, and that's what I like. So I'd actually debated for a while on doing an LS, and my daughter's 55, but I've got so much stuff for a small block Chevy. I've already got the air conditioner set up. I've got the coated headers and all that stuff. I didn't want to start over on all that. So,
right.
I always wanted, when I meant by injected, I was talking about the Erlenmeyer injectors, with the old style.
Hillborn type.
Yeah, that's what I always
that would
liked.
be cool. I would, I like the 60s, early 70s nostalgia stuff. That's honestly, that's what I really, really like.
Then you got to get an old 283 from like 62 or older, punch it out 125. So you got that 301 going to about 10,000 RPMs with a tunnel ram. That's what you need.
My, the second gasser I built, that 56 that had the red metal flake roof. I don't know if you guys remember seeing that one or not.
I remember it.
But I kind of done that one similar that way, kind of listening to my dad, talk about what they used to do. And I had a 327 or a 283, sorry. I had a 283 and I had a new old stock Duntov 3030 cam. So I put that in there with a set of double hump heads and a 750 double pumper and 514 gears and a 4-speed. And that was a fun car. It was, it really shocked me that a little 283 could run like that. I'd heard stories, but until you actually run it yourself, it's like, wow,
right.
Those guys actually knew what they were doing.
Well, I'll tell you go ahead.
Go ahead, Joey.
That is, my dad in his car, it was amazing how much that cam did very well with that setup. And it was a very good proven combination. But, that the original car, when I got it from my dad, it was a 331, it wasn't even 202 heads. It was 194. The first camel hump heads on it had a Victor intake on it, the old style Victor, single plane 750 double pumper, and had the second design off-road camshaft that was solid with the matching lifters and 456 gears. And that's what he had. He had a 4-speed in it, and it was amazing what that thing would do, So he put an automatic. The car I have now, he didn't want to do the 4-speed. He thought I'd get too many tickets, so he made put the automatic in it, and so. But I had a lot of fun with it. I had the same 456 gears in it, worked great until I put some sticky tires on it and made more power, and then I didn't like it. It just snapped it, but it screamed, and I love that sound of that solid lifter cam. I mean, it's just a different sound, with some good compression in it.
Oh yeah.
Well, and that's where that's where a lot of the fun and hot rodding is. It's easy to overthink and overkill everything. Small block and a 4-speed and low gears. I mean, if you're out just to have fun, to me, there's not much more fun. So
no. Spinning a small block up, even 6,000, 7,500. That's, it takes a lot to get them to turn 9 or 10, but still,
right.
The 6007, they're wound up pretty tight, and they got a sound all their own. That's for sure.
Well, I like when you go to the car shows and you hear the big blocks come through. You hear the LS, and I like my car, but it's with that blower or supercharger on it. It's got a different sound altogether. But when you hear some of the small blocks that are out there that got good compression and they rev it up to $8,000 and in the parking lot, and everybody's head always turns.
Yeah.
That's what it's always about, And I know that I've talked about this before, but my dad, when he had the car, it was a 62 vet motor, 283 punch 125 over, the 202 Camelback heads. And at one time it had a real high rise tunnel ram on it when he had a hood scoop. And then he brought it to a low got a single plane on it. He did a lot of different things. As he got older and got a responsible job, he had to look more responsible. But with the it had 556 gears, and so there was no power under 4,000 RPM. But once he hit 4 to 8,000, it was stoplight to stoplight, having fun. And I know I probably floated some valves in the 30-year-old tired motor before I pulled it out, but that's what it's about, hearing something $8,000, and if you could do something like that in that car to keep it nostalgia, what's the goal, because it's horsepower is money. So you put some vintage stuff, and if you can run in the 12s, that's perfect.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be honest, I've never wanted anything more than that. ETs really don't, to me, mean that much. It's more about having fun and I mean, 12s is something that I would like to do consistently, but it's to me, it's I'd rather go to an old airport or do a nostalgia drag race someplace that doesn't even keep times, because that to me is just more fun. So
more of a heads up, run what you brung first to the other end.
Right.
No, awesome. That's awesome. I remember because we're fairly, I don't want to say new to the mob, but when we were at 2019, I went and sat in the stands basically to get out of the sun because my wife was really screaming at me because it was so hot. And I remember sitting there and I'm like, hey, I know that car, and you scramble to get the phone going, and that's the best part. The best part, even this year, watching Joey, being there to watch a couple runs. And even though it's not the best runs in the world, there's something about when people that are doing it. It's just absolutely cool. So I'd like to see you run that again.
We completely winged that. I mean, that car I'd never been on a track. We'd never tested. I went out, and had fun outside town, but it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I wanted to go, but I actually had back surgery the following Monday when we got back. And so it was kind of one of those things. I just said, screw it, we're going to go. So me and my son and my mom ended up going with us because my wife couldn't take off work. And we just went and had fun. I think I broke the car the very first day, and we spent the rest of the weekend just having fun there. So it was a good experience. I'd like to go back. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I think the Raceway didn't get any real damage this last week with the tornado that went through. But man, there's some serious damage in that area.
Oh yeah. There's tons of damage. There's
a lot of people that are in dire need of some help right now. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, that's for sure. So getting back to the 55, so I'm pulling up the picture right now where it's in primer, and it's got the blue tire cover over the rear wheel. So kind of give us a little explanation on that picture. Is this like, it's final primer and you're ready to throw on your hot rod black, or is there some more?
Actually, that was the night before I painted. I painted it the next morning. That was probably about 3:00 in the morning. I was getting it all taped up, and I didn't want to paint it at night because of the bug. So the next morning I got up and went out and painted on Saturday morning. So, but yeah, it's just a hot rod black is all it is, just flat black. So
would you paint it, for your gasser, would you paint it a different color to have, colored windows if you wanted the complete nostalgia, look at the gasser?
The only other thing, I kind of like the car, kind of like the roughness of the car. I'll be honest, it's having a flat black car to me is a little more fun because you don't have to worry about if it's dirty. You don't have to worry about if it gets scratched. You don't have to, you just go have fun with it. I'd like to flame it. And I know that's kind of a, something that everybody does, but I'm 43 years old. I've never had a car with flames on it. So I think that's something I'm probably going to do next to it is put some flames on the front of it. So
very cool.
Are you talking like the nostalgic flames or a fire job or what?
No, I'm just going to do it myself. We're going to, that 34 Ford Coupe that we had, my son and I flamed the roof of it just for fun, basically. And I told him, I said, it turned out good enough. I think we could do our car that way too. So, but
that's cool.
I'm thinking that and some, pie cheater slicks on the back of it. I mean,
and that's what I started with on it. And those drag radials, I just like them. They handle good, they hook good, everything about a drag radial I like. So it was kind of hard to, them cheater slicks are okay, but they're more for looks than they are for anything else, I think. So
yeah, I've got a buddy that uses them. He says you got to really do a good burnout to get them warmed up enough.
Right.
Yeah, the tire technology is crazy. I mean, you'll pick up, 2 to 3 tenths on a 60-foot just with a radial tire. With a new radial tire compared to a slick. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, and that's where you break stuff too. I found that out. I mean, my 56, it's always been a 327 4-speed car, and between my dad and I, we broke 9 factory rear ends before I finally upgraded it. But as soon as I put those sticky Mickeys on there, I mean, I broke transmission, I broke U-joints, I broke rear end, I was breaking everything. So the car actually set up on the lift for 2 years because I decided I was going to put it up in the air and not let it down until everything was upgraded underneath. So that's what I did. Finally.
So as far as suspension, suspension on the back
and tear it up now. So
as far as suspension on the back goes, what do you got for suspension? Is it just kind of some slapper bars and?
Yeah, just slapper bars and just leaf springs. It's all stock. So. Both the cars are that way. My 55's that way too. I put ladder bars on it to begin with, and that's what I broke at the Tri-5 Nationals. And it's because I didn't have a full floater setup like I should have. So when I got home, I actually turned the ladder bars into just slapper bars is what I did. I just kind of reconfigured the way they worked and just made them into – they look like ladder bars, but they're really just slapper bars is what they are.
But it works all right. How many kids you got, Dustin?
I got 2. I got a boy and a girl.
How old's your boy?
My boy's 16 and my daughter's 12.
Okay, so our
good
boys
ages.
About the same. Yeah, you got the protector first. That's good. Good part.
Right.
Unfortunately, so my daughter's the older one, but she is the protector over my son because she's the bulldog. He's not. What? Now, as you say, you're doing this stuff with your kid. Is he really into it like you are, or is he just helping dad?
No, he's into it. He's a sports kid though, and it's tough to be everywhere and do everything at once. So he's into it. I mean, we built him a little 64 Chevy short bed pickup for a high school truck. So he's, for his high school, he's got the coolest truck, the coolest vehicle in the whole high school. It's got a cammed up 350 with double humps and, the whole deal. So it,
no, he's the envy of the school right there.
Oh yeah. And we had the doors lettered up on it and all that. It's a cool little pickup. It's original paint. It's got some nice patina to it. So
it's got the little sticker in the back window says panty dropper.
No, Daddy's saying no, not yet, because he wants him to get out of school first. Is what that
means. Daddy doesn't want to be a granddaddy, so we'll leave that sticker off.
Yeah, well,
yeah, but that's the cool part to being able to do that. Especially, I mean, how big is your town?
About 3,500 people.
So my son's got 1,000 kids just in his class at high school. And I got him a 99 piece of crap Ford Ranger because it was perfect for him, but it's the same deal. I mean, I said, I can't imagine, like a 64 truck would be awesome for him, but how is that going to handle the winter snow load and going to school through snow, a 2-wheel drive and all that,
right.
And my son is handling the Ranger just fine. He's like, I don't want it to get scratched. I'm like, I'll walk over to it and scratch it for him. I go, that's why I got you an old piece of crap we don't care about, So
yeah.
To be able
my son's 16, he's got 2 pickups because that's what you got to have at 16, I guess. But he's got my dad's old 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive. That's a 76 and it's rusted out. And yeah, it's the beater truck. So his 64 is kind of more of the, he likes to drive it on Fridays. So,
okay.
But
now, Dustin, besides cars, we're car guys, but you've seen posts on the page stuff. What else do you like to do? Do you hunt, fish, barbecue? Do you got any other hobbies, or is it just work on cars?
We've been hunting the last week and a half because it was deer rifle season here. Kind of got skunked this year, but I do some hunting, and I like doing barbecue stuff. But I'll be honest, I'm pretty much a gearhead. Anything that if I'm not at work or doing family stuff, I'm in the shop doing. Whether it's working on a flip car, whether it's working on something of my own, I'm usually out there. So.
Yeah. Well, now,
so maybe
I follow you, I think, on Instagram because you got Hokey's Hot Rods. I like seeing stuff there. And then you've got your page, What's in Your Garage. And What's in the Garage. That's what it's called. And you find it's a lot of work just to keep up with watching your own page.
I tell you why I created that page, honestly, because I'm friends with, I think everybody is. You're friends with a lot of people that aren't into cars. And one day I was realizing, I was like, that's all I post, is car stuff. And
right.
I don't know why. It was 4th of July, I think 2016. I just decided, I was like, I'm going to start my own page so I can document my own builds, my own stuff. And I really didn't do it for anybody else. It was just kind of for me. And then I invited my friends that I knew were into car stuff. And it's not huge by no means. I think there's like 800 people on it, but now it's kind of become more of, when I see stuff on Facebook I think is funny that's car related, I'll share it on there. And I kind of use it for my own documentation. So I got all my pictures saved on there. So
well, you better back them up before Facebook just deletes them for no reason.
I've got the warning a couple of times. So
hey, I'm doing good. I haven't been in jail since like June 1st, so I'm really happy right now.
That's good. That's good. Hey, Chris Dixon is asking on the rear end, is it P case or an aftermarket locker?
In my 56, it's got a 57 Olds rear end in it. It's a 9.3.
Okay.
So that thing is a monster. That thing is so heavy. Like I was gonna go that route, and oh my God, I was glad to get that thing out of the garage. It was like it was huge.
Well, I think that's what Jim Noren put in his gasser, and now he's switching his whole thing up. And I think Dan Stacy's buying another aftermarket gasser chassis to go under Jim's old 56 that he's got. But he's taking Jim. Jim is going to be selling him his 9.3 rear end for the gasser, and it's just like they've got a lot of work planned for this winter for both of them. So, but that pumpkin it's massive.
Yeah, it is. And mine came out of an old race car, so it had like 586 gears in it when I got it, and I put a set of 411s in it that actually got from Mike Heinen, and he's got that car Ivan the Terrible.
Yep.
And the gears came out of his car, but it's a spider locker setup, which I really don't care for, but it works in it. But my 55's got a 10 bolt in it out of a 68 Chevelle, and that's another one of those things. I know that it's a matter of time before I blow it up if I put any power to it. It's 456 posi, so I know it's probably going to break an axle.
That's what Eric Feckler did it back to the 50s this last year at my house. He had stock rear end, and he's got the 400 small block, and he put on the bigger tires and stickier or big new wheels with sticky tires, and thought he'd do a burnout by my house and blew his whole rear end out.
Whoopsies.
Yeah. Well, the last one I blew up was a P case 456, and I decided, you know what, that was kind of a pricey rear end to blow up for nothing because I knew it was going to happen. So I decided that it's time to upgrade. So,
hey, at least they're not as bad as like the 59 and 60 Cadillac rear ends. Like when you open up the GM shop manual on those 59 and 60 Cadillac rear ends, it literally says in there, throw it away and replace. I mean, because everything is just the way they're made. It's kind of like a 9-inch design, but you cannot get the center section out of the center pumpkin or nothing. It's like, a friend of mine's working on a 59 Cadillac. You can't change gears, nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of old Cadillac stuff in general. They were kind of like Fords. They change stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like there was anything the same very long.
Well, man, you've got like a lot of knowledge of different cars. So, like, what would be your top 3 things that you would do to a Tri-5, and then the opposite of that is the 3 things that you wouldn't do to a Tri-5? if it would, with yours, what you like upgrades to top 3 things.
It's kind of one of those deals. I mean, obviously, if money was no object at all, I would love to go down the same kind of route that you went with your car, with like a turbo LS style. But it, there'd be so much learning to do on that. I've kind of watched you through your build, and it's all interesting. But man, I know it takes a lot to do all that. That's for sure. But
no, I mean, like that's great. I was thinking, like, you think like doing brakes, putting disc brakes on the front or sway bar. I mean, stuff for, just like the things, like I can talk about the mistakes I've made on, my car, things I wouldn't do and the things I would do. But, I mean, like because you've done a lot of different cars and a lot of different trucks.
Well, I've done a lot of different cars, but I've done most of all of mine on the cheap. I buy, sell, and trade, and pretty much most of the stuff I put on is somebody else's used parts, because they've upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, for me, it's one of those deals. If you're going to own more than one car and have more than one hot rod, you kind of have to do it that way. So if I could be just satisfied with,
you just got to pick somebody that's you good stuff from.
Right. Well, and I've bought cars that have had the stuff on it that I want, just so I can rob off of it. I'll rob all the stuff I want and turn around and flip the car just so I can get the stuff I want. So that's kind of how I've done it on my side of things. It's my daughter's 55. I've got a bunch of new parts, a bunch of, I've got vintage air new in the boxes. I've got to drop spindles and springs and sway bars and all that stuff for her car. And I bought none of it brand new, but it is new stuff. So it's all stuff that I bought through different cars that I buy and sell. So I've been
that car was pretty clean, stuff. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really clean, actually. The story on that car, probably 15 years ago, I went to a swap meet and I had some stuff in the back of my pickup, and I was coaching T-ball at the time, and a guy seen the stuff in the back of my pickup, and we started talking, and he had a 56 Chevy in high school. Well, I went out there and looked at it, and he wanted to get it running again, which I'd done a bunch of work to it and got it running for him. But right beside it was his brother's 55 Chevy that he had bought when he was in high school, and it was stolen in 74. And they recovered it. And when they recovered it, it had the motor, the transmission, the tires and the wheels, and the steering wheel was stolen from it. So they hauled it out to the farm, and that's where it sat from 74 until I bought it a few years ago. So it took me over 10 years to get that car bought from the guy. I just kept hounding him every time I'd get a little bit of money. So, but yeah, it's a pretty solid car.
Flippers work?
Kinda. They need work.
We'll
need
work on that. That's fine.
Right.
It's my two pet peeves. As I look at everybody's posts, honestly, I don't even post that much on any other car site anymore because I'm just busy doing my stuff or whatever. But I look and I go, we got all these cars that doesn't matter if they're a $12,000 car or if they're an $80,000 car. My only two pet peeves that I got is straight bumpers and make sure the hardtop flippers are working for the photo. And if you're going to take a picture and say that your car is $80,000, put the flipper down first.
Right.
Yeah. And I find it absolutely fun when people like even Thomas Sutton will make a comment. Well, don't let Craig see that bumper, and bring me into the conversation, and I'm like, well, and that was one thing when I was building the car with Jim. I said, Jim, the bumper's got to be straight, and we got the jack under it, all the bolts loose, and we'd stand back and look and do that. And he was very good at that, and it's just hilarious because he goes, "It's God, you're picky." I'm like, dude, you don't have any idea what my OCD on the bumpers is.
Well, you look at the factory cars when they were made, the bumpers fit like crap on them to begin with.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff on the Tri-5s, they were bent down. They just didn't fit good. It was all on style then, not really so much fitment. So,
yep.
Yeah. Nothing ever fit perfect. So that's why they say Europeans say us Americans over restore vehicles, because we get too particular. We make the body gaps and everything, perfect, and and the body lines line up perfect. And
well, and that's one thing you learn and I've said this to Joey when I went to the Nationals the first time. It's like, I like my car, but I know my gaps aren't perfect because my cowl sits lower than everything for whatever reason on my car. That's the way it is. And yet you go and there's not one car that doesn't have something that's not quite right unless it's the $125,000 car. And yet you go to, okay, like your car, you know, your cash, your fenders and your hood and your cowl gaps are probably better than mine. And I spent a lot of money on the guy.
No.
You know what I mean?
Mine are crap.
Well, you know, I mean, I watched Jim's gasser when that thing got pulled in out of the weeds, and it's like the gaps were perfect. And I'm like, what the heck? You know, but it was all what plant it was in, where it was put together.
And if it's been apart before and mangled up and all that other stuff over the years. So,
and it was 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. There's a couple of people that I know that worked at, you know, assembly plants, and they said if there's a bolt missing and you had something in your bin that would fit the hole, you grabbed it, stuck it in there, and ran it in. So, I mean, you know, these 100-point original shows, and they couldn't be any more wrong.
No, that's funny. No, but you're right. You're right with the black paint. Not having to worry because if you scratch it bad enough where it bothers you, you're gonna mask off the quarter and spray it with some more flat black and get on with your day.
I've actually done that already. So yeah, well, you know, my black 56, it's a shiny black, and I have washed that car because I've always lived in the country with it. So I have washed that car. I don't know how many times. You know, every time I've ever driven it, I wash it basically. And it's not that I don't like that, but it's kind of nice with like the 55 that if I don't wash it, I ain't gonna worry about it. You know, it's kind of like an old beater. You just get in it and go. You know, it's kind of a little more fun that way, I think. So
that's perfect.
Oh, I bet. I'm sure it's, you know, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to fuss over it. You don't tell the guy up in the top right corner, you don't have to worry about if the bumpers fit perfectly or the flippers work perfectly.
I get it. Now what? Yeah, but on your 55, what is the front bumper? Because you don't have a bumper. It's obviously like the push rod between the frame. What is that that's twisted?
It's a piece of drilling rod from an oil field is what it is. It's a piece of coal roll that they use for a drill bit. So it's extremely heavy is what it is, but it's when it gets the way I was told on it, the guy I got it from is when they get shiny like that, that means the bit's worn out because the whatever kind of coating that is on it is worn off of it, and they got to throw it away and get a new one. So
no, I like it. That's cool. That's a good touch. Added weight. I mean, you'll probably never hit 12 seconds with that extra weight out front.
Right. Yeah, probably not.
That's all right.
Probably not.
It looks good. I've seen the camshafts. Everybody does the chrome, you know, or the stainless steel exhaust pipes, things like that. But I was just looking at the picture. I never noticed it. It was twisted metal before. I was like, that's pretty unique.
Yeah, that was something a buddy of mine had, and as soon as I seen it, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. So
put it right there. Yeah, that's cool.
So
that's perfect. Now, did you ever work in the oil fields, or was it just from a buddy?
No, it was just from a buddy. I never did work in the oil fields. So my grandpa did, cool. My dad for a little bit, but I never did.
Yeah, well, you're 8 hours and 7 minutes away from me, from town to town. That's a drive.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep. But you're almost straight west of Bowling Green, aren't you?
Yeah, it was. I forgot how long it was, but yeah, I drove straight across to St. Louis and then down from there. So,
well, a bunch of us got rooms at the Ramada next year, Dustin. You got to make the call.
Yeah,
but I know you got the camper. Didn't you stay in the campground last time?
Yeah, I've got a 40-foot race car trailer. It's got living quarters in the front, so it's not the nicest, but it works. You know, it's something you can camp out of, and
it keeps you dry. Now, now with your wife and everything, obviously you've been married a while and you've got kids. How is she with all the cars? And not just talking like the lifestyle, but the expenditures down to cruising with. Does she like cruising in them? Things like that.
I'll tell you, my wife is not a car person when I met her. And on our wedding night, we went from the church to the reception. We ran home real quick. As soon as we got to the reception, I didn't even make it in the door, and I got stopped. And I bought a 57 Chevy 2-door sedan before I walked in.
What a story.
She didn't know I'd been trying for 2 years to buy this car, but I got it bought before I walked in, and I walked in and I'm happy as hell, and I told her I bought this car, and she was pissed. She was like, "You can't be buying cars. We're married now." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. This is what I do. I've been doing this since I was like 11 years old. I've been buying and selling cars." So we went and picked it up, and it was in pieces. I mean, this guy completely stripped it down, but it was like a Project X car. It was a yellow 57 Chevy that had been completely stripped. And somebody jumped on the top and caved the top in. And she was like, "You bought this piece of crap?" I'm like, "Yeah, I bought this." And she had this tumor thing she had to have for surgery, like right after we got married. It's kind of a freak deal. But anyway, I told her, I said, "I tell you what," I said, "I'm going to take this 57. It'll pay for that surgery." And she didn't believe me. So I had her go with me to the first swap meet, and 57 Chevy parts, I was selling it out of my truck faster than I could even unload it. And from that point on, it was kind of like, okay, you know what you're doing with cars, and I'll leave you alone on that. So she's really supportive on it. She likes going to cruises and stuff like that, but she doesn't, eat, breathe, and sleep cars like I do. But she tolerates it.
That's
so
good.
So you're not rebuilding motors in the house, right?
No, I'm not doing them in the house.
Not washing the oil pans in the dishwasher.
That's funny, because when I was a little kid, my dad rebuilt his Harley in our living room. So it I kind of come from that. So
you know what? I went for my first tattoo when I was in college, and you had to get our college number or what, the alumni, the logo or whatever on our legs. It's where you had on the side of the leg.
Mm-hmm.
And we go out to this guy's house, and I don't remember his name, but it was Outlaw Tattoo, and up in the Northwoods in Minnesota. I remember it cost me $20 for his tattoo. I mean, and you walk in, and there's this, it's a trailer house in the woods, and there's this Harley in the freaking living room in pieces, and then he's got that enclave, the enclave to heat up and sterilize all the equipment.
Oh yeah.
He's got grease, he's got a sandwich, he's got the enclave, and he's got a chair. He goes, "Sit down." And that's how I got my first tattoo, and it healed.
That's
but
funny.
That was the first time I was looking at this going, man, you can do that. And then I've got a neighbor now that he's been here 15 years and no wife, and he raised a boy. And I'd walk in, and in the wintertime, they've got their lawnmower, their power washer, and everything they don't want to freeze out in the shed in their dining room, because he put rugs in there. They don't have a dining room table, and that's where he works on stuff, is in the dining room, because they're kind of like the your bachelor TV tray eating people,
Right.
And I'm like, you might want to have someone over sometime. You don't need a power washer in your dining room, But
hey, don't knock TV trays. Don't knock the TV trays.
Right.
Hey,
I still got a set of 4 Dukes of Hazzard TV trays, the kind that fold up and snap together.
All the metal ones.
Hey, let's don't knock ones? Either. I have one room in my house that has the hood off of my car. It has the bench seat in it. It has the rebuilt transmission. There's no grease in it, but anyway, it's in there, and a bunch of other parts in my parts room inside my house.
I've done that. I had half of a 55 Chevy in my basement just because I didn't want it to get scratched in my shop. So, I had the hood, the fenders, all the doors, all that stuff was down in the basement. So
no, that's cool, man. So that's, I appreciate you being on here, man. This is good. I told these guys, I said, I like getting to know you guys, because there's only so much you can know through posts, and it's been 4 years of looking at cars and posts, and you kind of know each other, but to be able to put the voice to the face. And honestly, this is what I miss the guys doing live videos like we used to do, more call outs and stuff.
Right.
And through the politics and everything on Facebook, I think a lot of people are burned out. And so to be able to sit here and have a conversation with you. So next year when we're at the Nats, it's not cold turkey right away walking out doing the meet and greets. It's like, hey, that's Dustin. Let's go see what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's kind of when I was
definitely like to see you there.
Yeah. I want to go back. Definitely.
I think it's going to be a whole different. Yeah, I think it'll be a whole different thing. Last year was absolutely better than 2 years ago, and everybody's staying at the Ramada right now, and we'll cook outside and a swimming pool and all that good stuff. I think it's just I know you'll be parking at the camping, but come on up and and do all that. I think it's just going to be another fantastic year.
Yeah, hopefully the whole town just recovers from what they went through. I didn't really think of that because until something happens to you personally, sometimes you're not connected enough because you're just watching the news. And then when you realize and see the pictures of the damage it did in that small town of Bowling Green, man, you start to go, I hope they get that thing cleaned up, man. I hope nobody that we know was seriously hurt or, something like that. So, and it didn't get the Ramada or the beach bend. So we're good that way.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll be adding money back to the economy there. That's the good thing about that. A lot of us coming in and paying a lot of things. So that's helpful too.
I just want no overheating issues and I want no clutch issues so I can at least go down the track to get the picture. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I can do 17 seconds and I'll be good.
Yeah. My car will be tuned a little bit better and hopefully I'll have water in the water box. So
I'm going to be your water guy. Trust me. I'll just walk out there and take the hose from that kid this time.
Well, if I go,
all right.
Who knows, man? This is awesome talking with you, Dustin.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I really appreciate you joining us this week. It means a lot having you here. Everything that when we get to talk to everybody, different people, and see what they have going on, what's in their what's in their garage. We hear and find out what's going on with them. So I want to say thank you for joining us this week, Dustin. I really appreciate it. Any final thoughts from Craig or Joey?
No, this is great. I like I said, I just really enjoy meeting the guys that we've known for a few years on here and putting the voice and everything together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to get to know Dustin a little bit more than just post on Facebook.
Yeah, most definitely. I really appreciate it. I'm not 100% sure. I think we lost Dustin there. So I think at this point this week, we're going to wrap up the show. We're going to sign out here. So I really appreciate you guys for being here. Craig and Joey and Dustin, I know we lost you, but you're still there, sort of, kind of. I appreciate it. And everybody watching, thanks. Oh, yeah, Sedan's rule. Hey, did you notice on the PRI live interview, I had to throw out Sedan's rule?
Yep, and I want to say to everybody who's watching, if you didn't, go catch Dan. And Dan, I want you to post again the video of him getting interviewed at PRI.
Well, I feel
really bad that I couldn't go this year. Just everything's in the way, but he did a fantastic job answering questions and talking with some smack right back to the guy, and it was an awesome interview. So thumbs up to Daniel for spreading the word.
All right, we'll catch you again here next time. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you later. Oh, shoot, I gotta... Thanks for tuning in to Try 5 Talk with your hosts Daniel Check, Craig Westfenning, Joey Truelove, and a special thank you for our background designer Chad Reynolds, and a special thank you as well for our production analyst Joe Miller. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you next time.